Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 25th of August 2022, and these are the stories that we'll be discussing in detail during the course of the show. We'll begin with the statement that has emanated from the Foreign Office of Pakistan that has rejected India's closure of the inquiry into the accidental firing of the BrahMos supersonic missile into Pakistan on the 9th of March earlier this year, and it has reiterated the demand for a joint probe with Pakistan and India as far as this incident is concerned. This of course joins a series of different questions or statements that have emanated from the Foreign Office of Pakistan pertaining to India, not only as per to its the way it is moving forward as far as Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, but also with this BrahMos missile. But we are going to concentrate on BrahMos missile and the statement that emanated from India, as a result of which Pakistan's Foreign Office has taken out a rebuttal. This is going to be our first segment. Our second story of the day, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the flood situation and the monsoon situation in Pakistan as far as this year is concerned, whether it be Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Punjab or Sindh. All the provinces have been affected, but Balochistan in particular has been extremely affected by this, and more than 900 people have lost their lives. Scores have lost their houses that have been inundated, their cattle, their crops, their lands. This is going to be discussed in detail in our second segment, the way forward. Then we are going to discuss the British investigators, the Stoke White investigators, that have said in a report that has talked about 450 incidents of violence in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in the year 2020-2021, and has exposed Indian brutalities and the war crimes against the Kashmiri people. And finally, we'll be talking about the poliomyelitis virus that has been detected in different areas of Pakistan and what needs to be done to completely eliminate polio from our Pakistan. Let's come and let's start with our first segment, and that concerns Pakistan, that has rejected India's closure of the inquiry into the accidental firing of a supersonic missile, the BrahMos, into Pakistani territories on the 9th of March 2022. We've been joined by Lieutenant General Raza Muhammad Khan Saab, who's a defense analyst. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us. Sir, the statement that emanated from the Indian authorities that led to the closure of this so-called accidental firing of BrahMos missile into Pakistan, do you feel satisfied as to the investigation that has been carried out by India? And also, do you feel that the statement that has come from the Pakistan's Foreign Office, is it enough or more needs to be done?
Okay, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. First of all, I think the internal inquiry of India is only one component of this major tragic incident. And I think the dismissal of probably three junior ranking IF officers is not enough. I think at the minimum, it is the Indian Air Force Chief, their Ministry of Defense, and the head of their Missile and Strategic Forces Division. They are the ones who should apologize to Pakistan and also to the rest of this world for this howler. Right now, the issue is that Pakistan had asked for a joint probe to ascertain the real reasons of the firing, which could include testing of missiles at our expense, testing of our responses and reaction. And it could have actually triggered a nuclear war between India and Pakistan. And we are all aware that it endangered the security of dozens of, commercial and even some military aircrafts, which were flying in the airspace in those areas of both India and Pakistan. So therefore, it actually not only warranted a joint inquiry between India and Pakistan, but an international inquiry, so that the question marks on the Indian command and control systems of their missiles, their nuclear systems, their safety mechanisms could actually be examined and measures taken for future. It could endanger us or the world now, unless that is done at any time in the future. And these questions must be answered by India. And I think the international power, the big powers, must insist and support Pakistan's demand of at least a joint inquiry. And let us not forget that I think this was the first ever incident of its kind that has happened in the world, and particularly between two nuclear powers. So this was not a small incident. It was really a big incident, and I think it has embarrassed the government of India. It has embarrassed, Russia, with whose collaboration the BrahMos missile has been made, and therefore I think the government of India formally needs to apologize to the world, to Pakistan, and probably I think it is, for the Russian government also to see how can they deal with the safety of this program with India in the future.
All right, Raza Khan Sahab, this brings me to many questions, but I'll go on them one by one. First, the question marks that you yourself have talked about as far as the Indian armed forces and the Indian Air Force and the Indian nuclear system or missile system is concerned. Do you feel that one of the reasons why India has not allowed for a joint probe or does not want to go even towards a joint probe or an international probe as far as this incident is concerned is because of this, that its missile system or its internal security system is going to be revealed in case there is such a probe?
Yes, I think that is very much the reason. But I think that is very short-sighted, and I think it would have been in their interest had they permitted that. You see, unfortunately, I think many incidents in the past have been swept under the carpet in India. Like in 2016, there was a major leak in one of their nuclear facility in Rajasthan, and the Indian government did not allow even an inquiry on that. There have been incidents, numerous incidents of loss or stealing of missile materials from India, but they never carried out an inquiry.
Remember all the
And
stories that emanated also as far as the smuggling of the nuclear material is concerned out of India.
Yes, absolutely. These are extremely serious matters of which the international community, the International Atomic Energy Commission, they should have taken notice of that, a suo motu notice, and they should have insisted on carrying out, international level inquiries. Unfortunately, they didn't do so. So it is actually a matter of, the failure of the nuclear safety and its records, their delivery systems, safety and its records, and their command and control systems, all three of which seem to have failed in the case of this BrahMos missile. And therefore, I think Pakistan has the right to demand a joint probe. And I think the Indian governments need to actually broaden the range and scope of this inquiry to include all the national and international concerns that I alluded to earlier. And unless that is done, I think that impression that the nuclear and missile forces are both, I think, in the hands of incapable people, and some say in the hands of, the BJP extremists, which who could actually deliberately uh, be actually letting this happen, so that if there is a need, maybe they could actually consider the use of these weapons, which will be catastrophic for India, the stability, nuclear stability of the entire region, and in fact the whole world. So the earlier India and the international community takes cognizance of this, the better it would be for world safety and security.
All right. Sir, I'd like to go back to the 10th of March when the DGISPR held a media brief as far as this incident of the BrahMos missile entering Pakistani territory is concerned. And he had raised two very important concerns. He had said, A, what if this missile had been armed? It would have caused a nuclear war between Pakistan and India, or the devastation, the loss of scores of lives. I mean, I can't even count the numbers because of the scope of the missile. Secondly, had it been on the route of course, major airlines, because there were major airlines that were operating at the same time within Pakistan, international flights as well, what would have happened as far as casualties in that case is concerned? Just for these two reasons, don't you feel there needs to be some kind of a stronger, larger, a more broader probe into this that also includes Pakistan?
Absolutely. I think at that time it was determined by neutral, independent observers of the airspaces that there were actually near misses of some aircraft which were flying. I think at that time from India to Dubai and then from Pakistan over the Indian and the Pakistani airspace. So it could have been disastrous, and also the fact that there was no warhead on this missile, uh, it actually could have been more dangerous or equally dangerous, because once a missile enters any country's airspace, then you cannot tell whether it is armed or whether it has a warhead or
Of
not.
course.
Yeah, so therefore, I think Pakistan response was very matured, very measured, and I think it goes to the credit of our command and control system at the time, which realized that probably it was a stray missile, and therefore they at that time, while they could have retaliated in kind, they resisted from that. They did not do that, and I think the international community must give them the credit for that as well, for actually saving the subcontinent from a disaster at that time.
Raza Khan Sahab, I'd like to just ask you, had this been the case of a Pakistani missile entering Indian airspace, the same methodology, had it been the reverse, wouldn't India have already A, started a warlike situation with Pakistan, B, had gone to all the international organizations and the big countries so as to put sanctions on Pakistan?
Well, I think first of all, let me assure you that our command and control systems are actually foolproof, and they have been acknowledged a number of times internationally. And there is zero chance, of such blunders, such howlers happening from our side. But in case it did, you are absolutely right. I think India, and all its friends would have created a lot of hue and cry, and they would have actually exploited the situation to the fullest, as they have been doing in the past. And this is actually their default mode. Even if Pakistan is not at fault,
Hmm.
they would actually fault Pakistan for that and recall, the firing of one of their space objects, and which actually spread debris all over in space, and it endangered the spacecraft of many countries of the world, including the United States, and even China and the EU. And again, no inquiry was carried out either by India or internationally. So I think it is a very sad state of affair in India, that the international community keeps quiet on that. I think India needs to answer all these questions, not only raised by Pakistan, but they need to answer the concerns of the international community on all
Exactly.
these incidents as well.
Exactly, I agree with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Raza Muhammad Khan, Saab defense analyst, to have joined us to talk about the reaction that emanated months after the BrahMos missile entered Pakistani airspace. And the only reaction that India has done is by sacking certain officers. Now, the spokesperson from the Pakistani Foreign Office has said that India has not only failed to respond to Pakistan's demand for a joint inquiry, has also evaded questions raised by the country regarding command and control system in place in India, safety and security protocols, and the reason for its delayed admission of the missile launch. Many different questions. I hope these will be answered in due time by India, either under pressure or not. We are going to a short break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Well, Welcome back. You're watching Newsroom, and our second segment pertains to the flood and monsoon situation across Pakistan. Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Punjab and Sindh, all the provinces have been affected by these monsoon rains. Shahid Rahman Sahaba, who's the Minister for Climate, has said that over 900 persons have been killed in these rains across the country since the month of June. We've been joined by Amir Majid, who's joining us from Dera Ghazi Khan. Amir Majid Saab, thank you very much to have joined us. Amir Majid Saab, could you give us a little bit of situation as far as Dera Ghazi Khan and the adjoining areas are concerned?
First of all, I would like to thank Omar Khalid for letting us an opportunity to highlight the very, very deplorable situation after the flood in our area. And the situation is very alarming. And the whole area that is located between the Indus River and the range of Suleiman is under flood, especially particularly the area of Rajanpur and the area of the Township that is the
All right, Amir Saab, we can't hear you properly. Could you kindly go to an area where we can understand you properly?
Yes, I am just coming to the point that the area almost total area of the city Township in which major cities, the major villages like Sokar, Manglota, Kalarwali, Pathaligari, Wahova, Jaluwali, and or Babbi and Tibbi and Nadi and many other villages, and also the whole range of Suleiman is badly affected by the hail torrents and also the rains. And many small hamlets have been wiped out completely from the, we can say, the map of the earth. And people have become homeless, and there is no proper relief operation by the government, not even from the federal government and also not from the provincial government. We can see some of the relief camps in different schools and colleges, but the people, I think, are not willing to accommodate there because they are not willing to leave their homes. They like to their facilities or the shelters near their homes, where they can look after their homes or the whatever has been remained by the floods. So,
all right. Amir Saab, are the people who are around Dera Ghazi Khan or living in Dera Ghazi Khan who have been a bit less affected than those in Taunsa, do you feel that they are helping the others? Do you feel that they are bringing them food? What about the rescue and relief operation? Are they, I mean, I understand, as you yourself said, that they don't want to take them in their homes. They want to, and there are certain apprehensions as far as these people are concerned. But what about the rescue and relief operations? Are these people who are affected by the floods, are they being provided with food, with shelter?
The quantity and the amount is very, very nominal, and we can say that the role of the government is just next to nothing. And if there are 100 tents needed for a village, the government is just giving 10 to 20 or 30 tents and the 10 to 30 ration bags to the deserving people. But the people of the locality, they are seeing just they are seeing their just part in the relief operation, and also I can see different NGOs taking part in the relief operations. So people, as far as individually and in the form of NGOs, they are doing whatever they can do. But people are very pessimistic about the government relief operations, the activities by the government.
All right, Amir Saab, thank you very much. That was Amir Majid joining us from Dera Ghazi Khan, giving us an outlook from his point of view as far as the rescue and relief operation, as far as the conditions of the people who've been affected by the floods. He's talked about the devastation caused by the floods, whether it be to infrastructure, to people's lives, to people's health, to the crops, as well as to the cattle in the region. But Dera Ghazi Khan or the adjoining areas are not the only areas. Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Sindh have also been extremely affected by these monsoon rains. The government, as well as the armed forces, the levies and the organizations such as the NGOs that Amir Saab has pointed towards, are working around the clock to help as much the people in different areas of Pakistan as they can. There is also the talk of donors agencies that will be joining in Pakistan to help Pakistan come out of this crisis and to help all those people who have been devastated, whether physically, whether financially, whether in the form of their livelihoods, to help them stand back on their own 2 feet. We will always be there with them, and we will try our level best, whether it be through our channel PTV World or whether it be through other platforms, to highlight this and to help those who are in need. With that, we come to an end of today's Newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with news story segments that pertain to you, us and Pakistan. Stay safe. Do say a prayer for those who've been stranded or affected by the floods, and follow the SOPs as far as the different diseases are concerned. Allah Hafiz.